good afternoon, good morning, no matter what time it is. This is an interview that we're taking a little bit different approach, and I'm going to actually be the student in this interview. So I am pleased to interview Dr. Edoho-Eket. Too many accolades to name and list. I'm just going to please allow her to introduce herself.
Oh, well, it's so nice to be here, Dr. Lett. Thank you. My name is Dr. Rachel Edoho-Eket, and I am an elementary school principal. I also am an author and a speaker, and I'm also president of the Maryland Association of Elementary School Principals, and I'm very excited to be here.
Yes, thank you so much. Now, we would probably spend the entire interview listing accolades, whether it's principal, speaker, author, all of that. And now you've shared this. Broadcaster?
Yes, now that's something new I'm adding to my resume. I was able to work at a track meet to be an announcer, and I loved it. I love watching my daughter and her teammates run, and I loved getting on that loudspeaker. So it was great.
Yes, and all of your accolades, they really involve transferring knowledge and serving your community. What motivates you to continue giving back into the community? And why now?
I think leadership is service, and service has always been a part of something that I've benefited from. You know, I think back to my mentors who gave so freely of all the information that they knew to help me get to a level where I wanted to be and could aspire to be. And so I see it as paying it forward and helping anyone else, the next generation of teachers and leaders, to come through and be successful in their work.
Yes, now, disclaimer, I will put Dr. Edoho-Eket's contact information in the description. Connect, reach out. She has so much insight, knowledge, inspiration to give to the world and to any community out there. Now, you write about the realities of working professionals, whether it's family obligations, career demands, etc. Why is it considered taboo for leaders to demonstrate vulnerability?
I love that question. I think I grew up with the idea or the sense that leaders have to be perfect. And that was a big misconception that I had until I had a mentor really show me an authentic side of leadership. And I think part of the reason, there's a part that does want to feel we want to be perfect. We want people to think that we are, but I've just learned over time, people do not connect with perfect leaders. They connect with authentic leaders. And it's important that we show all sides and facets of this work so that other people who are interested in doing the work feel confident walking into the work and being successful themselves.
Now, you somewhat touched on this, but could you describe how did you become comfortable being vulnerable as a leader and in public spaces?
Yeah, so one of the big changing points for me, I was a new principal during COVID-19 pandemic. The first 3 years of the pandemic were my first 3 years of the principalship, and it was extremely hard. And I was trying my best to hold it all together, and I couldn't. I essentially cracked. And, you know, when you are leading a huge school community like I was at the time, all eyes are on you. And I was really struggling with that. And I remember saying to the staff one day, I'm working really hard and it still doesn't feel like it's enough. I want to do more. I really do, but I don't have it all figured out yet. And the number of my staff that emailed me after that or sent me a text message saying, I feel exactly the way that you feel, but you saying it as my principal helped me to admit how I'm feeling. And so I think it just actually brought me closer to my staff. It brought us to another point of connection, to a different level, where I'm not seen as Principal Rachel who has it all together. I'm seen as Rachel, someone who wants to do her best, who's still figuring it out. And I think all of us are there. No one has it all figured out.
Now, I will say just the vulnerability that you demonstrate online, just for others, for myself, it's been something that it's a superpower in a way. And I felt that connection like I'm one of your staff members, to be honest with you.
Thank you.
Now, as previously mentioned, you wear so many hats. You have so many professional obligations, personal obligations. The demands on your time, it's probably insane, right? But how do you balance your time while being present in so many spaces? Yeah,
this is another great question. I'm very, very disciplined. That's number one. I'm very disciplined with my time, and I work very hard. I tell people I work really hard at my job, and I am a contracted employee. And so when I'm on the clock working, I'm 100% on the clock working. And part of the reason why I experienced burnout many years ago was because I continued to work off that time into my personal life. And that really took me out of balance. And so what I've learned to do is to have some very clear boundaries around the time that I'm focusing on my work and the time that I'm focusing on my other professional responsibilities and my interests. And when I took an audit of my time, way out of balance. So when I was able to realize how many hours I was putting in additionally above my day at work, and when I started to cut that back, I had so many more hours on the opposite end for my family, for my friends, for my speaking career, to write books, so time is valuable. And I always tell people you have a choice in how you want to spend your time. Do an audit, have an awareness. That's the first step.
Wow. I love that. I love that. Now, you've said so many gems already in this interview. It feels like, well, we could talk for hours. We won't do that. Mindful of everyone's time, but we could. With so many pedagogical approaches to learning, what advice would you give to parents that are searching for the most appropriate learning option for their child to ensure long-term growth?
This is a great question. All children learn in different ways, but I do think that there are some patterns that parents can be looking for as they are observing their children. And so I would say, and I'm an early childhood teacher at heart, so I am early childhood certified. I taught kindergarten for many, many years, for over half of my career. And one of the things I always say is just find out your children's strengths. What are their interests? Do you notice if you say a direction just verbally, do they respond to that? Or do you sometimes need to use other cues like pictures? Perhaps they're a visual learner. Perhaps they're a kinesthetic learner. They want to move, right? So, or perhaps they learn through music, some of that auditory learning. So giving students a lot of opportunities is number one. You don't want to do just one thing one way. You want to have those multiple modalities in place so you can start to see where your child really starts to shine. And then when you see that, then you start repeating and giving more opportunities for that learning to take place.
What I absolutely love about that response is it feels as though there's so much discourse, whether it's public schooling, private, homeschooling, and it's appears as though so many people want to look for which box themselves or their child will fit in, and that it can't be, and it's always my child is public school and that's it. Whereas I love that, and what makes sense for your child, their learning ability, their skill set. I absolutely love that. So I'm looking forward to this next answer. What trend in education should we be aware of and why?
So I think AI is really emerging as the next big thing, and really it's here, but it is a little bit controversial depending on who you ask, because people have lots of different opinions about it. I do think that all stakeholders need to be at the table as we are making decisions about AI and its usage, starting with our teachers. Teachers cannot be expected to use AI in a responsible way if we're not trained on that. So time needs to be invested there. Students need to be at the table, because students have, whether or not we agree with AI, whatever side you're on, students are having exposure to it. And so we have to catch up, right? So students also need to be at the table. And one of the things I like to talk about with students is the idea of consumers versus producers. There's a lot of consuming that happens. We're consuming videos on YouTube. We're consuming music on TikTok. We're consuming a lot, but what are we producing? This is a conversation I've had with my twins many times. What can you produce? What can you make to contribute to something new? Not just only accepting everything as is, right? And that takes a different skill set, takes a different effort level. So that's something that I talk about. And then also thinking about leadership. What do we want as leaders? We want our students to have an ethical responsibility as they are using AI. And if so, how can we teach that? How can we advocate for that? We also need parents at the table. We have parents who are concerned about privacy. We have parents who are concerned about screen time, and rightly so. So I think we need to have more conversations about where we are going, so that we can really inform the future.
I would love to see Dr. Edoho-Eket's face when she sees work that's been submitted and it says at the bottom, would you like a revised version of this?
Yes. Yes.
Someone's forgotten to delete that part.
Yes. I've seen it. I've seen it.
Now, of course, the students will claim, I did write that. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Rewrite it again and then do it by hand, and let's see how close we can get to that first version.
Yes. Now, as we near the end of this incredibly insightful interview, and you talked about writing books and speaking, what exciting career professional updates would you like to share?
Oh, I love that. Thank you for this question. I have so many amazing conferences coming up this summer. So I'm going to be on the main stage at ASCD and ISTIE. Really excited about that conference coming up in Orlando. I'm also going to be at Cultureize, which is with Jimmy Casas. I'll be doing the closing keynote there starting next week in Chicago. I've never been to the city, Windy City before, so I'm really excited to get there. I'm also going to be at the Instructional Empowerment. I'll be doing a keynote there in Orlando next week as well. And then I will be one of the keynote speakers at the National School Leaders Conference in Orlando in July. So I'm just so blessed by these opportunities, and I'm very, very thankful.
Yes. Now I have called Dr. Edoho-Eket out online to make sure that she posts all these amazing keynotes and speeches and like post some content, because she's on the ground doing the work, right? Don't let it fool you and think that just because she's school principal, she's still not tapped in with the day-to-day work of an educator.
Mm-hmm.
So post that content because we need it.
Yeah. Thank you for that reminder.
Now, this interview has been inspirational, along with all of the content that you post. I know that there are many people inspired by reading your content. They may view this interview, anything else that you're doing. So for anyone that would love to connect with you, how can they do that?
Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate this time together. So I am on social media at Rachel Edoho-Eket on Instagram, at Rachel Edoho-Eket on X. I'm also at Dr. Rachel Edoho-Eket on LinkedIn, and my website is racheledoho-eket.com. So if you go there, you can find all my socials. You can find links to my podcast episodes. You can find links to the articles that I've written for Edutopia, Education Week, and District Administration, many others. And I hope that you're able to find some resources that really help you along the way. And that's what this is all about, just helping each other along our journeys.
Yes, thank you so much for that. It's been incredible. I would like for you to tell us, Dr. Edoho-Eket, what takeaways from this interview should viewers leave with?
I would love for leaders and listeners to think about choice. Choice is something that's really important to me. And so know that if you want to change something in your life, you have the power to do so. And oftentimes it's small changes that make the biggest difference. So I always impress upon people that if you want to make a change in your career, then start working towards that. Start getting a certification, start reaching out to mentors who can help you get there. Start reading books. If you want to write a book, the easiest way to write a book is to start writing the first page of your book, and go from there, get that momentum. So if there's something that you want to do, I always encourage people, you have the choice to do it. You have to make the choice to get it done.
Wow, incredible. Now, this has been I'm Dr. Lett, the podcast, and I am Dr. Lett. Dr. Edoho-Eket, thank you so much. It has been an honor. It has been a privilege. And this is one where I loved sitting back and learning everything I can from you.
Thank you again for having me.